Do these 5 things and be in the top 10% of pest control technicians within 1 year. Many pest control technicians who have come into the industry have unfortunately received training that sounds a lot like this. They come to a company, they either ride with somebody for a week or two and go out in the field and that's it, or they've had 2 weeks of training where they're drinking out of a fire hose and have to take a test and then they go out in the field. We're gonna give you these 5 tips of being a top 10% pest control technician within a year. So the first tip is basic job skills. It's kind of sad that we have to talk about this, but I've seen so much of it that it bears to have its own tip. And that's showing up to work on time, wearing the uniform you're supposed to wear, wearing your PPE, and having a good attitude and being a team member, good teammate. A lot of that used to just be taken for granted, but these days you see a lot of call outs. And I've been even at good cultured places where you still see a lot of call outs. It could be for various reasons. There are call outs that are absolutely, you should call out, you're sick, right? Sometimes it's, I had a bad route the day before. We've all heard that. I was a technician. I talked to other technicians. I know that when their route got screwed up the day before, that some of them just call out the next day. And some people just don't even want to show up. So if you're looking to become a top technician, really you gotta get to work and be a technician. You gotta show up to work and be a technician. That's really what it's all about. If you're not showing up to work, how can you be a top technician? I can't tell you how many companies keep people around just because they show up to work. If you show up to work, you show up to work on time with a good attitude, and you're a good team member, there's a lot of mistakes you can make and companies will still want you on the staff because you have these basic job functions. The second tip, and this is really a big separator, learn identification. So pest identification is a big differentiator. And that's because there's a lot of pests that tend to look similar. And really you have the textbooks and video with these nice HD pictures, right? In real life, sometimes when you're looking at that pest in front of you, it just doesn't look quite the same. So a tip to get better at ID is to take every single glue board that you see and identify every single insect or pest on that glue board. And there's glue boards at every stop, or most every stop for most companies, right? Because they're collecting, monitoring the home. So look at that glue board, and I like to snap a photo of it, a nice clear photo, not like the stuff that we get sometimes from customers where it's just blurry, right? Snap a clear photo, label it, and put it into your photo album on your phone. That's the best thing you can do so that you can refer back to it. Also, if you see evidence, photograph it when you're at a place. I ask permission first if you got to ask permission, or if it's just something you can, take a quick photo of. Take a quick photo of the evidence. It's always best to ask permission to take a photo within someone's house. So snap a photo of the evidence and just kind of put it in your phone and label it with what it is. Like it's the first time you're seeing powder post beetle or old house borer, something you're not going to see all the time. You want to have that stored away somewhere so you can look back at it. And then you can cross-reference everything you've put into your photo album with an industry resource like the NPMA Field Guide. There's an app, there's the NPMA Field Guide app. You could also use one of these things like the Pest Control Technician's Handbook from PCT. It's another great handbook that you can use to help cross-reference why that ID makes sense. So what is the characteristics that make that species that species? So maybe if you smash and smell an odorous house ant and it smells like rotten coconuts, you now know what that smells like. Maybe it is an ant with 2 nodes instead of 1 node. And so now you can look at, well, what are the 2 node ants? And you start learning these different subtle differences between the species, and you're gonna write that all down because it's gonna help you remember it. The third tip, And this one's probably not very popular these days, but really you want to read something from the industry every day. Just 10 to 15 minutes. That's it. Once again, I'm going to pick up the PCT handbook or something like Structural Infesting Ants. And there's other books like Malice, that handbook of pest control, Truman's. There's another good one. And even things like if you wanted to learn about cockroaches, the Cockroach Combat Manual, phenomenal book. And just read a couple pages every day. Make this a habit in your morning time or when you get home from work. I know it's not popular, right? But we're talking to people who want to be the best. And to be the best, sometimes you've got to do some things outside of work to better your skills. And so this is about building your skills up. So take the initiative and take about 10 minutes out of your day instead of doom scrolling through your phone. Just go ahead and read something in the industry. So, hey, I'm going to learn about odorous house ants today. I'm going to learn about carpenter ant today or German roach. Whatever it is, I promise you, if you do this every day as a habit, you are going to have your knowledge is going to shoot up in a year's time. When I was studying for the Associate Certified Entomologist test, I basically did this for about 7 months, and it really paid off. And if you don't like reading, I still suggest reading because you really should, but at the very least, listen to something from the industry that's maybe on YouTube or on a podcast or something like that, that is an educational talk. Like I love listening to some of the speeches that Dr. Bobby Corrigan gave about rodents. And there's some other good ones online too. So just look around for that stuff. And really, I mean, you could even purchase some of the training programs out there if you're not getting the training from where you're at, or you're just starting from scratch and you're opening your own business and you really want to learn. Fourth tip, learn industry vocabulary and professional vocabulary. Communication is one of the biggest things that you can do to separate yourself as a top tier technician. So this doesn't mean that you're going to use these very scientific words in front of the clients to just seem smart, just throwing out words like trophallaxis or something like that, right? But knowing those terms is very important so that you can actually communicate that, and you can strategically kind of place that within talking to a client to where you build yourself a little bit of credibility. So if you're talking about like maybe the egg casing of a German cockroach, and you could call it this is an egg casing. They call it an ootheca. And within this casing, there's going to be 24 to 48 roaches that come out of it. And it's not over their head, but it shows your expertise. And it's always a good idea to show your value and your expertise. It's what sets you apart. So learn some vocabulary, and not just the words themselves, but their definitions so you'll use them properly. The fifth and final tip is to learn from failure. This is one of the most unpopular tips out there. And a lot of times failure can come in different ways. Maybe the treatment that you did failed and now you're at a callback. Maybe you failed a test. One of the things I am extremely grateful for now, looking back, is that our technical director used to give us a test the next week after every lesson we did the week prior. And this cadence went on for the first couple years. And when you fail on a test or you get questions wrong, a lot of people take that as, oh, I failed. And it really kind of hurts the pride a little bit. But you can't look at it that way. It's just some area that you're weak in right now. You don't want to dwell on failure. You want to learn from it. So that's the big lesson here, is to learn from your failure. And not just think, oh, because I didn't pass a test or I didn't get a good enough grade, that somehow you're never going to be good at what this is. And the reality is, taking tests and recalling knowledge is a skill, and you have to practice that skill. A lot of bad test takers basically avoid the test altogether because it's kind of a thing that psychologically it makes them feel like, I'm going to fail this. And if they fail it, they already know they fail it. We're going to fail it. So what's the point of taking it? So they avoid it and they don't learn. And, when you exercise the skill of recalling information to put onto a test, eventually you're going to have much better recall overall. Anybody can improve their recall by just taking tests and understanding why they got the question wrong and really trying to work through that stuff. So I hope you took away something from these 5 tips. We're gonna keep pushing out videos for people who want to be excellent technicians. And so I want to say thank you.